The death of the US dollar and the birth of a new financial system on the cusp here in America and globally, a radical transformation in the way we live, the way we work, the way we communicate, and the way that we move money. My name is Coach JV. In today's video, I'm going to break that down. What I do is I work to make the complex simple. I want to share with you guys a big warning. I want to put this on every single video if possible. We will never proactively DM you. Those are all scammers in the comments as well. We will never ask you to send us money. Use discernment. We have a Warrior Academy, an education academy. We do not invest people's money. And I also have an Index Universal Life team teaching people the infinity banking concept. In the description of this video, you can set up a free consultation with my Index Universal Life team. Let me explain. So that's my insurance team, okay? We have a education academy where we cover blockchain, business, my 120-day challenge. That's the academy. The Index Universal Life team is specifically around infinity banking concept. I'm a licensed insurance agent. I have agents licensed in all 50 states. So in the description down below, if you're interested in learning how to secure, compound, and grow your wealth, set up that appointment. All right, so let's dive right into it. From my family's heart to yours, first of all, I love you. What I'm going to break down today is I'm going to show you the transition in our financial system. Now, something happened yesterday that isn't all over the media. We got UFOs all over the media. We're wondering if Jamie Foxx has been cloned, but there's something that happened that isn't hitting the mainstream media. It isn't all over Fox News. It isn't all over CNN. They're not shouting from the mountaintops. Actually, the White House shrugged it off, which is really interesting. So first, I'm going to show you about a 5-minute video from the World Economic Forum. This was 1 month ago. Only 18,000 people watch this. And this is the future of money. First, they resist it. Then they sue it. Then they regulate it. Then they join it. Then I'm going to show you a little bit of a narrative around the Great Reset. And I'm going to show you what happened in our economic system yesterday with the dollar that is a historical thing.
So, Professor Prasad, thank you very much for joining this session. As I mentioned, the book was published in 2021. It was one of the first mainstream economists taking a systematic look at digital currencies as potentially a replacement of physical money. The disappearance of physical money and the rise of digital currency in the future. Well, a lot has happened since then. There's been some very dramatic ups and downs in the crypto market, some developments on central bank digital currencies that you are a big supporter of. There are some sea changes in the regulatory environment. Major governments have pursued very different policies. So could you lay out your...
Okay, so this was 1 month ago. Now remember, the Bank of International Settlements is providing regulatory clarity. The G20 meets in September, and the BIS committed to having regulatory clarity, global framework, or recommendations for the globe by the end of 2023.
Key arguments from that book, as well as any updates that you feel is necessary by now.
A lot has happened indeed. Some good, not so good. And in my book, I try to think about what the digitization of money, which we are clearly in the midst of, might mean for money, for financial markets, and for the international monetary system. Now, when you think about money, what one might refer to its main functions are, it's really about transforming resources across space and across time. So once one thinks about how money accomplishes this, clearly the appearance of paper currency, which as it happened was in China in the 7th century, was a remarkable transformation. The appearance of unbacked fiat currency under the regime of Kublai Khan, again in China in the 13th century, was a remarkable advance. But now we're at the cusp of physical currency essentially disappearing. Now, the question is whether this actually leads to all the benefits that one might think of. Certainly, digital money in whatever form is more convenient for businesses, for consumers, for governments, because it pulls economic activity out of the shadows, reduces the use of central bank issued money for illicit purposes. But I
thought Elizabeth Warren, interesting. She said crypto is used for illicit purposes. So which one is it? Cash is used for illicit purposes, or cryptocurrency is used for. I'm telling you guys, I don't support it, but we're moving to a central bank digital currency, guys. FedNow Services is the beginning of training people to use a digital wallet.
We're also at the cusp of a very interesting era of renewed competition between private and public currencies, but not in every function. If you think about the emergence of cryptocurrencies, decentralized cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin were meant to serve as mediums of exchange. And as we've learned, especially in the last couple of years, they're not working that well as mediums of exchange. They're very volatile, very inefficient to use. But stable coins, especially fiat currency-backed stable coins, are beginning to show that they can get traction as mediums of exchange. They can well compete with fiat currencies in that function, but the irony of stable coins, of course, is that they get their stable value precisely by being backed up by fiat currencies. So the necessity for institutionalized trust rather than decentralized trust still seems to be very important. So one can imagine competition between official and private currencies in the medium of exchange function.
So they're giving you the blueprint, guys. That you're seeing it with the SEC and the Department of Justice going after these influencers on decentralized exchanges. It's not an opinion. This is just what's happening now. So first they resist it, then they sue it, then they regulate. Now they're in the joining phase, getting global regulation, and they're going to go heavy on decentralization, suing all these influencers, suing all these decentralized exchanges, trying to shut them down. What they're working to do is like things like Coinbase, and they're going after Binance and all that stuff. Coinbase specifically, which BlackRock being connected to them, they're making you think that everything is fraudulent, and then there'll be a few standing, just like the Google days, or just like the internet days, just like the auto boom days. There'll be a few giants that are standing at the end.
In terms of the store of value function, it still looks like fiat currencies issued by central banks with government standing behind them are still crucial. There is an interesting analogy in the international dimension as well. You spoke about central bank digital currencies, which certainly many countries around the world are beginning to at least experiment with. Now, it happens to be the case that one can well imagine digital currencies of various sorts creating a lot of competition, even in the international sphere. But again, one can see potentially a digital renminbi somewhat incrementally increasing the use of the renminbi, but as a payments currency, as a reserve currency, I think there are still very important attributes in terms of financial market depth and liquidity, economic size and policies, but most importantly, the institutional framework, the rule of law, an independent system of checks and balances, an independent central bank, all of which are still very important. So the importance of institutionalized trust in this currency competition, both at the domestic level and at the international level, is something that I think has been unleashed by digital currencies. Now,
and there you go. You're going to be getting your rules on the back end of 2023. As we go into 2024, we're going to hit the Bitcoin halving. It's going to go parabolic. It's going to completely come collapsing down. They're going to go through one big market cycle. And then by 2025 to 2030, it's going to start to be normalized, and your local bank will custody your cryptocurrency. So let's take a step back just a moment and talk about the Great Reset. The pandemic represented a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset our world. Professor Klaus Schwab. You need a shock to the system to change consumer behaviors. So by June 3rd, 2020, now it's time for a great reset. So we've talked about this and we forgot about this, right? Because we're moving on to the next paradigm moment and the next distraction here. But don't forget, guys, there was a massive great reset of capitalism. It says, in short, we need right here, guys. In short, we need a great reset of capitalism. They're changing the way that we do business, the way that we walk, the way that we interact, the way that we talk. Okay. And this happened yesterday. US dollar share of global foreign. I'm going to show you something before I show you the news. Sorry. But I want to show you this in 2021. So this was in 2021. I've reported this to you guys already. But the US share of global foreign exchange reserves drops to a 25-year low. The share of US dollar reserves held by central banks fell to 59%, its lowest level in 25 years during the fourth quarter of 2020. So what we're seeing globally now, I want you to take a deep breath. Understand the US dollar is not going to collapse tomorrow. Okay. But we're starting to see cracks in the system. We're seeing a transition, what I believe, into a global way of regulating currencies. It'll no longer be just America as the dominant or the dollar as a dominant currency. We're handing over power. We're handing over the infrastructure. You're going to see civil war. You're going to see global war, which is going to create massive change. And when there's civil war and global war, you have an economic change usually. And they're telling you the change is into digital currencies, okay? And so you have problem, reaction, solution. Now, this is the news that hit yesterday that's not all over the news, right? I'm sure a lot of people aren't paying attention to this. It says dollar shrugs off the Fitch U.S. credit rating downgrade, yen rallies. So the yen rallied. The dollar rose on Wednesday as investors shrugged off Fitch U.S. credit down rating. The White House just shrugged it off, guys. They shrugged it off because they said that the job markets are strong. Get ready, guys. With these interest rates, it's just macroeconomics. With these interest rates, the job market is going to start to falter. Well, the yen made up ground as traders assessed the Bank of Japan's approach to monetary policy. The agency on Tuesday downgraded the United States to AA plus from AAA, and a move that drew angry response from the White House surprised investors, coming in despite the resolution of 2 months ago, the debt ceiling crisis. So we're in a debt ceiling crisis, okay? And then a month later, all of a sudden, US gets downgraded. The dollar got downgraded. Now, what does that mean, guys? So what does that think about? Think about that with foreign investors. So now our borrowing becomes more expensive, okay? So this is just another look at it, just another perception of it. But I'm going to show you this video really quickly. And then this is where I want you to take a deep breath because the dollar's not going to collapse tomorrow. But what this does do is, do you realize that we have to borrow to pay for critical services? And now because we're downgraded, so think about this. If you get downgraded as a creditor, it's the same thing. So if you have a 600 credit score, is your interest rate higher or lower? If you have an 800 credit score, is your interest rate higher or lower? So if you have an 800 credit score, your interest rate is going to be really low because you're a good debtor in the world's eyes, right? If you have a 500 to 600, you're going to have a super high interest rate. Well, guess what? The American dollar just got downgraded. So now it's going to be more expensive for us to borrow from other countries for critical services. This also gives foreign investors like, wait a minute, they're backing off the dollar right now, decreasing their holdings in the central banks. The dollar's not becoming attractive. Are you going to put your money into something that's deflating and it gets downgraded? So the White House just shrugged it off. This is a big deal, guys. This is a big deal. This is your money. This is your monetary system. You have high interest rates. We had to raise the debt ceiling or suspend the debt ceiling. We don't have money to pay for critical services. We're at 120% debt to income ratio, and we just got downgraded. The dollar just got downgraded. So let's take a look at this. It says, can the US dollar maintain its global status? The answer is yes for quite a while because the US dollar dominates everything. Okay, all oil is still traded in US dollars. We're starting to see a fragmentation of that. Is it going to happen overnight? No, there's going to be a switch in the digital age into digital currency. They're going to roll out a central bank digital currency. They're going to run all the money back through the system. We're going to switch monetary systems. We're going to switch the way we regulate currencies. And within 10 years, you're going to forget about all this. The people who resisted cryptocurrency are going to be operating on blockchain without even knowing it, right? You're going to end up with just like the auto boom, just like the .com boom. You're going to have the big three companies. I believe one's going to be Ripple. Coinbase is probably going to be there. Kraken's going to be there. You're going to see these large companies that survive this, right? And then it's going to be a normal system. Everything we're complaining about, everything we're arguing about is all the stuff we're going to be using. Think about that for just a moment. Everybody said the internet was the mark of the beast and we're all addicted to the internet. Everybody said social media was the mark of the beast and now we're all addicted to social media. Like we always resist what we don't understand. And then by the time we understand it, it's too late because they already packed their bags and made a ton of money off of it, right? So it's just about taking a deep breath, understanding that true change comes from within. So let's listen to this to kind of calm our minds around the US dollar, but it is transitioning. That's the one thing I'm looking at.
The rapid reversal of last year's strong US dollar rally, combined with efforts in China and elsewhere to decouple from dependence on the greenback, has put the dollar's status as the world's reserve currency in question again. While there may be discussions on the need for a new global reserve currency, a transition away from the dollar involves significant challenges and risks. The stability, confidence, and economic dominance associated with the dollar are truly unmatched at this point in history. The United States has a strong legal and institutional framework that fosters trust and confidence in the dollar. The U.S. has the deepest and most liquid financial markets in the world, which allows nations to hold and transact large amounts of U.S. dollars with minimal impact on the value of the dollar. The transition from the dollar to another reserve currency would be a long, complex, and risky process. It would require a consensus among many nations and could lead to a period of global economic instability during any transition.
Wow, doesn't that sound familiar? It could be a global decision, right? BIS, G20, BRICS coming together, trying to de-dollarize. Are we all being played, or is this something that is happening behind the scenes? Is the president handing over power? Like, what is it? But what is power, right? What is power? True power is empowerment of humanity, empowerment of people, having human beings taking sovereignty over their own wealth, right? So if we keep waiting for a savior and we keep waiting for someone to come save us, or your favorite influencer to get you rich quick, then you're always going to be waiting. The truth is, it's from inside out. The decisions you make today are going to radically transform your life. Yes, the dollar is losing its power. The facts, figures, numbers, logic are there. The central banks are reducing. Okay. Interest rates are destroying other currencies. The dollar is strong because of our interest. That's why it's strong, because of our interest rates. But do you realize that destroys the middle class? The middle class is getting destroyed in America. We are buried in debt. If we were in the position as a president of the United States, if we were the president of our own world here, right? So you're the CEO of your own country, okay, your own household, and you're at 120% debt to income ratio, and you got downgraded to a 500 credit score, you would have trouble borrowing, you would have to go bankrupt, and you would have to start a whole new system. That's exactly where we're at in America. It's not going to happen overnight because America is the dominant currency, but I have to share with you, there's a transition, guys. It's nothing new under the sun. All great superpowers have fallen, right? And when they fall, there's a brand new order that comes in, a new monetary system, a new way of interacting, extreme innovation, peace and prosperity, which is the great thing. But the question is, what side of the coin are you going to be on? Are you going to be the side of the working poor who are going to complain about this, just like the Great Depression, for year after year, and indoctrinate your kids to be poor? Or are you going to be the one who rises up and sees the greatest opportunity in human history to transform your family's timeline? You can fight back and forth, left and right. You can fight back and forth about who's right and who's wrong. But the fact is, we're all speculating. Every single influencer is speculating. I'm speculating. We're doing the best we can. But what I do know is I'm free here and I'm free here. And the thoughts and actions and behaviors I do today are going to be my reaction of tomorrow. I'm not waiting for a savior. I'm not waiting for a new president to come in. I'm taking action now with my family. I'm working to get things physical. I put things in insurance. I have cryptocurrency as a speculative asset. When it goes up, I pull profits and I secure it in things like index universal life. We're going to be doing more precious metals. We're going to be getting into more real estate, tangible things that I can hold on to and feel. Have equity in multiple companies because I can feel, I can meet with people. It's something tangible I can hold on to. The fake money, the fiat dollar, is not something I want to hold on to a bunch of it. I want to get into the things that I can touch and feel and diversify so that I have safety and protection for my family. So that's what I'm doing. I don't know if it'll work for you, but it works for me. And it's worked for 7,000 warriors worldwide who've embodied this new truth, the truth of that you're already powerful, you're already strong, you're already wealthy. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. Everything in the description down below if you want to join our Private Warrior Academy. And also, if you'd like to sit with our team around Index Universal Life, a free consultation. I love you guys. I appreciate you. As we always say, Warriors, rise, get your shit together. Let's go.